winds blew harder, bow dip down below, my bully boys blow. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. She'd not been 2 weeks from shore when down on her a right whale bore. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take that whale in tow. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da.
With a drunken sailor, what will we do with a drunken sailor? What will we do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning, put him in the brig until he's sober. Put him in the brig until he's sober. Put him in the brig until he's sober. Early in the morning, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises. Early in the morning.
Oh, the wind was foul and the sea ran high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. She shipped it green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her.
Cape Cod ships ain't got no sails. Haul away, haul away. They'd all blown off in the northeast gales, and we're bound away for Australia. So
heave her up, my bully, bully boys. Haul away, haul away. Heave her up and don't you make a noise, and we're bound away for Australia.
Santiana gained a day away, Santiana. Now pull the yarn up the west, they say, along the plains of Mexico. Well, heave her up and away we'll go, away, Santiana. Heave her up and away we'll go, along the plains of Mexico. She's a fast clipper ship and a bulliga crew, away, Santiana. And an old salty yank for a captain too, along the plains of Mexico. Well, heave her up and away we'll go, away, Santiana. Heave her up and away we'll go, along the plains of Mexico. Santiana fought for gold, away, Santiana. Around Cape Horn through the ice and snow, along the plains of Mexico. Well, heave her up and away we'll go, away, Santiana. Heave her up and away we'll go, along the plains of Mexico. So leave her, Johnny, off we'll go. The drunken sailor, wellerman, whaler, bound away for Mexico.
Hello, my sentient noodles, and welcome to this week's episode of SCUBA, where we dive deep into history and current events. My name's Hailey, and I'm a senior here at WCWT Centerville. Welcome to the pirate episode. And now it's time to strap on your air masks, check your flashlight batteries, and 3, 2... Your name is Edward Thatch, and you were born around 1680. You're raised in Bristol, one of the largest cities in England, and taught to read and write. Your family is wealthy, and you communicate with merchants on the regular. Around the turn of the century, you travel to the Caribbean on a merchant vessel. You land in New Providence, a city on a tiny island with an ever-shifting population living mainly on ships in the shallow harbor. You join the crew of a man named Benjamin Hornigold, a renowned pirate who operated out of New Providence. The Royal Navy's ships couldn't access the harbor easily because they were too deep, and so pirates used the transient city as a base of operations, and Hornigold happened to recruit there. Just months after you join Hornigold's crew, he places you in command of a sloop of your very own. He trusts you a lot because the boat is massive and you're in command of about 70 people. A few months later, you capture a French ship to make your flagship, and you call her the Queen Anne's Revenge. You're now commanding almost 400 people, and you're a renowned pirate. The men beneath you nickname you Blackbeard in honor of your prodigiously bushy facial hair, and they are loyal to a fault. When you come across another pirate, his crew deserts to you and adds a third ship to your flotilla. Hornigold, your boss, is a former British privateer and only wants to attack old enemies, but your crew gets dissatisfied. So he gets demoted by popular election and retires with 2 ships. You never meet him again. You, however, Blackbeard, continue your pirate career to massive success. A man you ransacked describes you as such a figure that imagination cannot form an idea of a fury from hell to look more frightful. You lean into this. You're not a fan of hurting people, but intimidation is your tactic of choice. You add to the effect by touching slow matches, essentially very long fuses, under your hat to make it look like you're a demon of some sort, on fire without burning. In a twist of irony, you tie ribbons into your beard. Your masculinity can handle it. Throughout the next few years, you garner more ships and more men, menacing the Caribbean year-round. In mid-1718, you name yourself Commodore Blackbeard of your fleet and blockade Charlestown, North Carolina. You hold the port hostage until a member of the council of the province agrees to your demands: medical supplies, money, and food. You give them 5 days to return, and when they fail to bring you the supplies, you sail ships into the harbor. You're met with panic, and they apologize profusely. Their boat capsized en route. You both keep your bargain past that point. From there, you brutalize more British ships. Then, in September, you get tired. You agree to a pardon deal, then settle in Bath for a few months. You get bored quickly and hop on a quote-unquote derelict ship you found at sea, which is definitely what happened. A handful of old crew members prominently settle in Virginian port towns, and the peace of the ports is destroyed. You're not a big fan of this because the government is now laying all sorts of regulations down on former pirates, requiring them to make their presence known and to travel in only small groups. So you start to hold standoffs as you run or sail for your life. The government sends a pirate hunter off you, and you hide on a tiny island just off the coast of North Carolina. Your crew is drastically diminished, and the hunter winnows away at you. But when you finally open fire, you devastate the ship until they manage to cut some of your ropes with their fire. You try to board your ships from there because yours is grounded, but theirs ground as well. But once you're aboard, they come out of nowhere. You end up head-to-head with the main hunter, firing flintlocks in unison. He hits, you miss, and then you draw cutlasses. You break his at the hilt and are about to deliver a killing blow until one of his men slashes you across the neck and kills you. So, Blackbeard, Edward Teach, is probably the most iconic pirate of all time. His ghost is equally famous, with Teach's Light being the will-o'-the-wisp of the sea. But I didn't introduce him as Teach, did I? No, I introduced him as Thatch. Through the sheer magic of it being the late 1600s, early 1700s, people being illiterate, and lack of standardized spelling, his name was probably actually Thatch. However, pirates typically did not sail under their given names in order to protect their anonymity and keep any land-bound family members safe. There are dozens of depictions of Blackbeard, and it has been rumored that Captain Jack Sparrow from the iconic Pirates of the Caribbean franchise is based off of a contemporary Blackbeard as well. Also, do you guys want me to say Caribbean or Caribbean? Because typically I would be saying Caribbean, but Blackbeard was a pirate of the Caribbean. Anyhow, I'll try to make judicious choices. But back to the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. I think the third one's the best. Here's the opening song from it by the Wellerman.
The king and his men stole the queen from her bed and bound her in her bones. The hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Now some have died and some are alive, and others sail on the sea. With the keys to the cage and the devil to pay, we lay to fiddler's grave. Yo-ho, all hands, hoist the colors high. Heave-ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Yo-ho, all together, hoist the colors high. Heave-ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. The bell has been raised from its watery grave. Do you hear its sepulchral tone? We call to all, pay heed the squall, and turn yourselves toward home. Yo-ho, all hands, hoist the colors high. Heave-ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Yo-ho, all together, hoist the colors high. Heave-ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
How did y'all's feeds pick up those low notes? Because I think the best part of that music is the bass, and yeah, I don't think your radios picked up the bass that well. Anyhow, your name is Shi Young, and you were born in 1775 to poor workers in China. When you were 26, you marry a man named Zhang Yusao, an active pirate you met while working as a woman for hire. Your husband, Zhang Yi, fought for the Vietnamese government in wars, even though he is Chinese. When the war was over, the Vietnamese soldiers captured and executed him as a privateer on a bordering town of Vietnam and China. This led to a lot of infighting among the pirates in his fleet, but you, newly a widow, bring the crews together. You consolidate 6 significant leaders into a confederation, with your portion the largest. You, as the driver of the unification, take an informal command and lead the confederation to activity. You put a strict code in place. Sailors are not to steal from the general store pile, not to go ashore alone, and most importantly to you, are not to harm or harass female captives. They live by your standards, and they follow you obediently without complaint. When a segment of the fleet is decimated, you lead a raid as revenge. You sweep through towns and kill thousands. The Chinese government gets desperate and teams up with Portugal to stop you and your fleet. Together they blockade you into a harbor, but when they try to go on offense with burning ships, you extinguish and claim them. The wind changes and sends a few of the flaming ships back and ignite the Portuguese. They lost a handful of ships and twice as many men as you did, and then their forces crumble as you force your way out into the South China Sea. By 1810, your pirate confederation is so powerful that the government cannot stop you. They're desperate and agree to make you all privateers to stop you from murdering again. You, Jiangxi, personally lead the delegation and are granted land. There, you own and operate a very successful gambling house until you die. Zhang Yisao is an icon, honestly. While her story isn't publicized, she's widely considered the most successful pirate in history. Going back to my old favorite, Pirates of the Caribbean, Mistress Ching and the Brethren Court from the third movie is loosely based on her. Anyhow, in honor of her gambling house, here is Drunken Sailor for all sorts of debauchery.
Ready? 2, 3. What do we do with a drunken sailor? What do we do with a drunken sailor? What do we do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Early in the morning. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Early in the morning.
Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Lie in the morning.
Way, hey, up she rises. Way, hey, up she rises. Way, hey, up she rises. Early in the morning. Put him in a longboat till he's sober. Put him in a longboat till he's sober. Put him in a longboat till he's sober. Early in the morning. Way, hey, up she rises. Way, hey, up she rises. Way, hey, up she rises. Early in the morning. Way, hey, up she rises. Way, hey, up she rises. Way, hey, up she rises. Early in the morning.
Stick him in a scupper with a hose pipe on him. Stick him in a scupper with a hose pipe on him. Stick him in a scupper with a hose pipe on him. Lie in the morning.
Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Early in the morning. Give him a dose of salt and water. Give him a dose of salt and water. Give him a dose of salt and water. Early in the morning. Way, hey, oh, way, hey, oh, way, hey, oh, early in the morning.
That's what we do with a drunken sailor. That's what we do with a drunken sailor. That's what we do with a drunken sailor. Lie in the morning.
Way, up she rises. Way, up she rises. Way, up she rises. Early in the morning. Way, up she rises. Way, up she rises. Way, up she rises. Early in the morning. Way, up she rises. Way, up she rises. Way, up she rises. Early in the morning.
I love pirate stories. I think they are just so much fun. Obviously, I am anti-murder and anti-pillaging, but some of the stories are a party. I didn't get into many of them today, but there are some deep cuts that I think you guys would enjoy. Being a pirate was honestly kind of a fire job in the 18th century. Great shares of the loot, great compensation if you lose a limb or eye or whatever, and you were pretty much treated the same regardless of skin color, socioeconomic status, whatever. Except if you were a woman. Then you weren't, at least in Western piracy. You were also supposedly bad luck. Anne Bonny and Mary Read were both famous female pirates who sailed and dressed as males. They managed to lead successful careers as well, and by the time they revealed their true identities, they were well respected enough that it didn't matter. I'm currently worrying about college, and to be honest, I think I either want to be a pirate and go get scurvy in the 1700s or go live under a bridge. Let me know which career choice you think I'd do better in. Anyhow, thank you all for listening to Scuba here on WCWT Centerville, 107.3 FM, the voice of the Elks. Now let's return to the surface with the last sea shanty, as we, unfortunately, return back to real life.
Well, me father often
man told me when I was just a lad, a sailor's life is very hard, the food is always bad. But now I've joined the Navy, I'm aboard a man of war, and now I found a sailor ain't a sailor anymore. Don't haul on the rope, don't climb up the mast. If you see a sailing ship, it might be your last. Just get your civvies ready for another on the shore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore. Well, the killer of our mess, he says we had it soft. It wasn't like that in his day when we were up aloft. We like our bunks and sleeping bags, but what's a hammock for? Swinging from the deckhead or lying on the floor. Don't haul on the rope, don't climb up the mast. If you see a sailing ship, it might be your last. Just get your civvies ready for another on the shore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore. They gave us an engine that first went up and down. Then with more technology, the engine went around. We know our steam and diesels, but what's a vineyard for? A stoker ain't a stoker with a shovel anymore. Don't haul on the rope, don't climb up the mast. If you see a sailing ship, it might be your last. Just get your civvies ready for another on the shore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore. They gave us an Alderson so we could do it right. They gave us a radio, we signal day and night. We know our codes and ciphers, but what's a cipher for? A button tosser doesn't toss a button anymore. Don't haul on the rope, don't climb up the mast. If you see a sailing ship, it might be your last. Just get your civvies ready for another on the shore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore. Your bleeding lot. And now we've got an extra one because they stopped the tot. So we'll put on our civvy clothes, find a pub ashore. A sailor's just a sailor, just like he was before. Don't haul on the rope, don't climb up the mast. If you see a sailing ship, it might be your last. Just get your civvies ready for another on the shore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore. Don't haul on the rope, don't climb up the mast. If you see a sailing ship, it might be your last. Just get your civvies ready for another on the shore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore.
Did you know the birthstone for November